Let's now bring in political analyst, Associate Professor Tiung from University Malaysia, Sabah. Good evening, Prof, and thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Good evening, Cynthia.
Now, Hajiji, earlier I mentioned that he said GRS and the Barisan Nasional partnership remains solid despite what has happened. So what do you think, Professor? Taking Beluran as an example, Ronald Kendi taking matters into his own hands and going against Hajiji's wishes, will this hurt the electoral pact at the state level?
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. First of all, actually, for me, it's very important the collaboration between GRS and BN Sabah show the maturity of the leaders in the leaders from the both sides, especially Hajiji, Datuk Seri Panglima Hajiji and Datuk Seri Bu Mukhtar. Okay, it reflects the leadership of both leaders, and it also reflects the dynamic of the Sabah politics. Okay, where they put both of them, both sides decide to put the public interest ahead of the political differences, okay, knowing that political stability is important to bring development to Sabah. Okay, in every election, actually, any Malaysians who have desire to contest, actually, they can contest in the elections. Okay, whereby actually this time around we see there are 119 candidates contesting for 25 parliamentary seats in Sabah. Okay, in the last Sabah state election 2020, we saw there are 447 candidates contesting for 73 seats in Sabah. So the democracy system practiced in Malaysia, especially after the amendment of paragraph B, Article 47 Federal Constitutions, okay, has reduced the eligibility of the candidate from 21 to 18 years old, which means actually in Malaysia now, anyone who are 18 years old are entitled to contest in elections.
Right, Professor, I do understand that this is not something that is unique to G15. We had seen clashes quite a fair bit in the last general election, but I think this time around the interest is we are seeing not just Ronald Kendi in Sabah, particular, former Barisan Nasional members and existing Bersatu members contesting as independent candidates in several other seats, so setting up clashes. I think what we're trying to get at is, Professor, how are voters taking this kind of clashes that's taking place in what is seemingly a pact between GRS and BN? Is that fraying?
Okay, thank you. Actually, we should look at the voting pattern or voting behavior, which for me are influenced by three main factors. Number one is a candidate. Number two, the party or the political coalitions, and number three is the issue. Okay, when talking about candidate, actually, I strongly believe that voter will look at a candidate education background, and voter will look at gender will become one of the candidate gender will become one of the issue also. In the urban area, we're talking about this modern society, we're talking about this equal opportunity, feminism. I believe that gender won't become an issue, but in the rural or interior area where men are still more dominant, I believe this gender will become an issue.
All right.
Okay? When we talk...
Yes, please continue.
Yeah, okay. When we talk about this political party, as you know that Sabah, Sarawak, now we are they are playing this local party sentiments, okay, to win, attract more vote, and also when talk about this current issue, MA63 is a very hot topic in Sabah, in Sarawak, and in Sabah we can see recently we have this Sabah sentiment.
All right. So I think what you're trying to say here, the personality factor versus the political party support and loyalty. Just one question before I let you go, Professor. With Warisan and Pakatan Harapan no longer working together compared to the previous general election, will this guarantee a Barisan Nasional GRS victory in GE15?
Okay, the answer for me actually is yes and no. Okay, not necessarily because I believe that some of the voter will vote based on the candidate. But of course, when Warisan are no longer working together with PH, the vote has been split. But again, one thing is very important. Due to the automatic registration, we saw a tremendous increase of the voter in Sabah. Okay, Beluran itself alone has increased from 28,509 voter to 44,413 voter. Okay, and which means actually increased 35.8%. So I really believe that, especially when it comes to this, 18 to 20 years old voter, Okay, even though there are only 3,016 of them in Pluran, the first-time voter, I believe they'll become the kingmaker in
All
in
right.
this coming election.